boys, we are ready for 3 2-minute rounds in the amateur thigh 60-kilo weight class. And now, making his way to the blue corner of the ring, representing Origins Dublin, please welcome Saul O'Brien. And now, ladies and gentlemen, set to make his way to the red corner of the ring, representing KC Gym, please welcome Rafferty.
Not fully au fait with Muay Thai. When they get into the clinch, it's going to get very technical.
And something that's a real hallmark of these Deliverance shows is the level of progression you see as we go through the card. You see those little nuances to the uninitiated you may not necessarily pick up on, and that's why we're going to abdicate to your expertise in these situations, just to point out these little differences, these little nuances within the sport.
Yeah, and I think they kind of allude to a deeper kind of a deeper philosophy of each fighter, the way they fight. We're going to see the style of fighters. As this bell hits, are we going to see a stronger, predominant kicker versus a boxer? We got two very tall, lean fighters.
Saul O'Brien in the blue corner taking on Aaron Rafferty in the red. Oh, beautiful kick right from the get-go.
And we can see O'Brien comes out and he is in a southpaw position. He's struck with that head-high kick, and that's what southpaws do. They look for that big left kick. The orthodox fighter is going to look for that big right kick.
Now, because southpaws are so much of a premium in the sport, will it take the orthodox fighter just that little bit longer to adjust to the fighting style?
I would call this the southpaw complex. It's the benefit of being a southpaw, and if that orthodox fighter has not trained in camp to fight a southpaw, he's going to be in trouble. Initially, what the southpaw fighter has to do is step left, step on the offside of the southpaw fighter.
Try and keep that. There's that constant foot battle that at the amateur stage, try and keep that foot on the outside.
Absolutely, and that comes natural to the southpaw. The orthodox fighter, again, it's something that he has to think about unless he's done it a lot on camp. And that's a lot to ask, especially for an amateur fighter. Now, these guys are actually quite technical. There's some great techniques here for guys that are opening up quite a big show.
And it's even just the trajectory of the knees lets you know how well versed these young fighters are. It's not just necessarily straight up the middle. They're trying to get that little bit of an arc and find the space.
Yeah. And again, we've got to remember it's 3-2 minutes. When we get all that angst and nerves out of the way for the first minute, this match could change in the second minute, in the second round, very fast.
Rafferty doing a good job of trying to reply. Seems to have settled into the cadence and flow of the fight just that little better than he did in the early stanzas.
Absolutely, and we've got an experienced referee in there. We have Larborn, who will allow the clinch to go on once he sees legitimate scoring techniques, which is great to see.
I like the arc that O'Brien's getting on that rear leg. Throws it almost as if disguises it with a teep. Not quite a question mark kick, not quite a teep, but finds his range with it.
And there's some interesting studies on this. Like, is there one perfect way to throw a kick? And the current research in combat sports is no. We have frameworks that a kick should come in, it should round in, thrown from the hips. But what we're seeing is a certain way of throwing a kick. And coaches, or the modern way of approaching kicking or any skill, is to let the fighter embrace their own technique. Very skilled fighters for amateurs finding their rhythm.
Expect O'Brien to open up with that same ferocity, trying to catch Rafferty on the hop.
And he seems to be a natural southpaw, because there is an inclination in Thai boxing to turn orthodox fighters southpaw to get that benefit.
Again, I'm loving the work done in the clinch by both these fighters. It's not just knees for the sake of it.
Absolutely, and we see O'Brien, he's leaning in, he's posturing forward, which is making it very, very difficult for Rafferty to kind of fight back. So Rafferty has to now impose his weight, or if he can't press forward, he has to rotate sharply and give way. Again, I don't like to see Rafferty throwing just a kick straight off. He doesn't have a natural high kick. You should defend that, or you should set it up with a jab or a feint, a little bit of footwork.
And that's the key aspect of what we're seeing here, Mark. You need to set those kicks up with the hands. You can't throw them naked, because when you have a tendency to do that, you have a tendency to telegraph. Therefore, you're informing your opponent what shot's coming.
Absolutely. And what you will see is, I would imagine that the two guys, they seem comfortable throwing the kick up high. But I would say Rafferty's had maybe quite a lot of success with that high kick, and that's why he's throwing it out familiarity rather than strategic.
This is where the element of adaptability, the the element of adjusting on the fly needs to come in, because more often than not, something that works for you in training, you have a tendency to go to the well with it.
Yeah, the hardest thing is performance in the gym and
replicating that.
Getting it into the ring. And I do believe you will only ever replicate your best ever performance in training in the ring. There is no magic moment as such when we look at performance.
Beautiful little bit of combination work from O'Brien there. Lead hook into the pop knee. Very, very clean. He's starting to really string those attacks together with fluidity right now, Mark.
Absolutely. And we can see in the clinch he's slightly taller. We can see O'Brien being slightly taller, and he just leans and imposes his weight. It doesn't take a lot of energy from him, but it takes a lot of energy away from the fighter on the other end.
So conceivably sitting here in my...
He's a naturally aggressive fighter. It might not come natural. So we see, I know when I'm watching fights at home in different combat sports, people are shouting at, the TV, do this. But we'll have to see what comes natural. Now we can see him come out. This is what he's been told to, obviously, by the corner, but we can just see O'Brien just ramp up the aggression.
It's almost as if O'Brien let Rafferty set the tone there.
Yeah.
And then he replied, just incrementally increasing that pressure.
Absolutely.
But Rafferty right now has O'Brien trading positions against the ropes in the corner here.
I would reckon in this position, Rafferty should just lock it up. As he locks up the clinch, the referee has to break it, and it gets him back out on the floor to get some significant scores. But I think at this stage, it's a TKO or a knockout to win.
For a young fighter, O'Brien looks very, very comfortable in there.
Yeah.
Stringing together his attacks, and he's working the distance well, but that was a solid shot to the body from Rafferty.
Now, although we think O'Brien is ahead, he's doing a great job. The guys are very well matched. There's some great matchmaking here. He's just inching ahead on this, and the guys are still showing quite a lot of heart, which is it's the epitome of Thai boxing. It's what we want to see, skill and heart.
Deep into the final minute of the third round. Again, for everything that Rafferty throws, it seems that nice little slip there. It seems that O'Brien has a reply to.
Yeah, and I do like Rafferty. He's thrown a right hook. Or he's leading forward with that hook, and that may catch, but again, he needs to set it up. You can't throw them highlight reel shots just out of the blue.
Oh, nice little shot on the break there. Once again, that step-in pivot hook from O'Brien is working beautifully.
Very nice, and it goes in straight into the clinch.
And it also sets, as a southpaw, it also sets him up beautifully for a head kick if he should so choose.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, this is where you'll see, I think both fighters are quite tired here. Yeah. They feel more comfortable going back to basics, which is a good sign. It's a good strategy. Do the basics well.
Again, that pivot hook.
And we've seen a high kick there. It's interesting because in the case of if that knee had landed on Rafferty and caused the cut, it's down to the referee's perception if he felt it was Rafferty leaning his head down or if it was O'Brien purposely going for the headshot. I've seen that once or twice.
Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for both fighters. They've opened up the show in style for us. After 3 great amateur rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards. Judges scored the bout, declaring a winner by unanimous decision, fighting out of the blue corner, Saul.